Aloha, Sydzillians! Welcome back to This Night in Stars. For episode 69, I am doing a review of Wicked Part 2, yet again with the movies here. This video will be containing spoilers, so if you don't want to see that, here is your last chance to click off. And also, if you have not seen my review for Wicked Part 1, that'll be linked in the description. You can go check that out after you've watched this one. I did my best in the theater to take notes while I was watching the movie, so of course handy iPad, pulling up Google Keep. But also I want to quickly point out that I watched the movie with my friend on November 30th, and yet here today filming it's December 16th. I've been busy and I was sick for a few days, lost my voice there, so hopefully the video still turns out well. I usually don't like to wait this long between when I watch them film and when I talk about it. So the very basic plot summary of this movie is that it starts where Wicked Part 1 had left us off and continues the story of Glinda and Elphaba leading up to when Dorothy arrives in The Wizard of Oz. We in fact see Tin Man, Scarecrow, Lion, and Dorothy herself in this movie. We don't see Dorothy's face, just the back of her walking, but we know that she's there doing things. So my notes go in chronological order, so that is the order in which I will be doing this review. And the first note that I have written is building the Yellow Brick Road. The opening scene of the movie is Ozian workers building the Yellow Brick Road brick by brick. And I mean, it makes sense that that's happening, because how else is the brick road going to come into existence? But I've never really thought about it before as to how that road got there, so it was cool to see that by literally building it, because yeah, duh, is how things happened. I noticed that this movie must have hired a lot of extras, like to be the citizens of Oz or to be background singers in a song. There were a lot of people in this movie. Like, how many actors did they have on this freaking set? And also, another made-up word from the Wicked universe, we have commandify. I like all of these made-up words. They're really interesting and funny to me. Next, we have the scene where Glinda and Fiero are announcing their proposal to all of Oz, and it turns out that it is a surprise proposal. Fiero has no idea that it's going to happen, which is really funny to me because stereotypically, the guy is the one that proposes to the girl. So the girl should be getting the surprise from the man, not the vice versa. There was also no going down on a knee, no ring exchange. It was just like, we're engaged. This is a thing that has happened. And he's like, no, it didn't. When did it happen? They're announcing it like it happened when it didn't actually ever physically happen. I also think that in agreeing to marry Glinda, Prince Fiero is just putting on a facade for all of Oz, for the betterment of Oz, because he is the captain of the guard. He wants to find Elphaba, not for the reason everybody else wants to find him, but because he wants to help her, rescue her, and save her. Everyone's plotting to do what they want to do to her because she's so evil. He's going along with it as captain, but he does not want to do the same thing that his men want to do. We have another wicked special word with braverism. Going ahead a little in my notes, we also have two more with celebratorium and rejoicify. We have a quote where Prince Fiero says, I'll marry you if it makes you happy. Glinda says, will it make you happy? And he says, I'm always happy. Basically proving my original point. He's doing her a favor in his eyes. We have a scene, I believe it's Prince Fiero getting on his horse, but whoever it is, why the hell is the horse blue? Maybe I'm misreading the scene, it's just lighting, whatever, but if I am seeing correctly, why is the horse blue? That's not a thing that happens in real life. Next thing I want to mention is we come to the part where all of the talking animals are leaving Oz. They don't like what's happening to animals and they want to get out while they still can. Also, there's a plan in place where no munchkin can leave without a permit. so things aren't looking so good for the humans of this world either. Elphaba finds this out when she's talking to the animals and trying to convince them to stay, only to get reunited with her bear nanny from the first movie, which was very happy for both of them, very excited to see each other. Also, the animals were a very weird mix because we're seeing animals that would never cohabitate in the same realm of nature in real life. We have koalas and kangaroos, like Australian outback type animals, and then we also have lions and giraffes, like the African freaking safari. So Oz must be a very interesting place to have animals so widely ranging. When we first see Nessa in this movie, she's in her office. And Nessa is the mayor of Munchkinland. That's why she has an office. And we find out that A, Bach loves Glinda. So sorry, Nessa, your whole relationship was kind of a ruse there. You definitely love and care for him more than he loves and cares for you. As well, Nessa is considered the Wicked Witch of the East. I never knew that. And who is the Wicked Witch of the East, more specifically? Well, I'll tell you some details later on in the video, but to know that she is that character from Wizard of Oz, I never put it together at all during the first movie. And also, what I mentioned previously about Munchkins needing a permit to be able to leave Munchkinland, I believe that was Nessa's doing, if I recall correctly. She had implemented a new policy on Munchkinland. Very dumb policy, might I add, in my opinion, but that's what she implemented for her own reasons. I have a quote written down from Elphaba, which is, "I'm off to see the wizard." I don't remember exactly when or where she says that, but I think it's part of when she's visiting her sister, because I have some Nessa things directly before and directly after in my notes. But anyway, the next note I have was one of the most shocking things in the movie. And I say one of, because there were many in this movie, but oh my god, I lost my mind finding out that the Tin Man was actually Bach. If you've read the book, if you've seen the original Broadway play, I bet you there were a lot of people that already knew this going into it, but I did not. I've only ever seen the original Wizard of Oz, and in that movie, they did not tell you at all. You have no idea who the Tin Man is before he was tin. You just find him on the side of the road kind of thing. So what the actual heck? I lost my marbles finding out that it was. There's a phrase that is said a lot in this movie, every character multiple times, and that is clock tick. For the scene that is Fiyero and Glinda's wedding, we have Glinda in a wedding dress because, well, duh. Meanwhile, Fiyero is not actually wearing a suit or a tux, and I found that kind of interesting, but at the same time, it totally makes sense why he would just leave his guard clothes on. Depending on your profession, some people do that. Like, I have an uncle who is married in his RCMP uniform, not a black tux. But anyway, I just thought I'd point that out because it was interesting to me they didn't give Fiyero a suit just for the sake of this scene. I thought the wedding was very beautiful. All of the gold butterflies that were flying away from the floor as Glinda was walking up to the altar. Like, it was a very beautiful scene, but it didn't stay beautiful for long because montaged with the wedding in like a split screen situation, we have the freeing of the winged monkeys and the freeing of all the caged animals. The antics of Elphaba are going on at the same time. Now, one of these animals in the cages is Dr. Dillamond, if you recall, the goat teacher from part 1, and he no longer can speak English, so that tells you just how awful things are. He went from like super genius to regular ass goat in the span of how long he's been caged up. And once these animals get released from the cages, they go and they trample the wedding. They go and they stampede into the room and disrupt the whole thing. So that's why I said the wedding was only beautiful for a short time, because it was getting interrupted by all of the animals disrupting it. We have another wicked special word with horrendable, and also we have now officially gotten a scene that proves my point I said originally way back in the original proposal. Prince Fiyero is on Elphaba's side. I was right that it was all a ruse. He puts the wizard into a cage and he ditches his bride to go and hang out with Elphaba. Glinda's crying about it because she wants to be married. She does like him, love him, whatever. But their wedding is not meant to be because Fiyero does not want it. I think the really funny thing about this movie, this isn't in my notes, but it's occurring to me now, is the love triangle, love square, whatever you want to call it. Whoever loves who is very rarely mutual. Like, Nessa wants to be with Bok, but Bok wants to be with Glinda, who'd rather be with Fiyero, who'd rather be with Elphaba, and that's the one case where it's mutual. Like, I gotta feel bad for everybody there's not those two. Meanwhile, I do have a note that says I kind of don't like Elphaba and Fiyero. I'm not sure how to feel about that ship because I'm too busy feeling bad for what happened to Glinda. But either way, the whole romance thing of Wicked is a very funny mess. Going into my point just a little bit more, I'm reading my next few notes, and I have here written, wrong bro, very wrong. And by that I mean Fiyero leaving the wedding to go and be with Elphaba. He's definitely way happier when he's kissing Elphaba, but I was right, I'll say it again, he was just with Glinda for show. He was trying to please Oz, he was trying to please Morrible and what everybody wanted by doing something that is absolutely not what he wanted, because he wants Elphaba. As you can see with the implied sex scene, we see them stripping down, we see the cardigan, and then we get the aftermath. That's who we'd much rather be with. He's happier, way with her than with Glinda. So sorry to Glinda, but he was never meant to be your man's. So that scene in The Wizard of Oz where Dorothy's house is caught up in a tornado spinning and spinning, and that's how she gets to Oz in the first place. Well, it turns out that tornado was no accident. It's not just nature being nature. It was created by Madame Morrible on purpose, likely to draw out Elphaba. And it works because Elphaba can sense what is happening and why it is happening. So she goes to try and save her sister. She goes to try and save Nessa, only it doesn't work. Dorothy's house crushes Nessa. That goes back to my original point, where Nessa is the wicked witch of the East. Nessa is the character that is crushed under the house in Wizard of Oz. Can you believe it? Nessa. Anyway, since Nessa is crushed, Dorothy takes the shoes and puts them on her own feet when she goes on her journey. But in this case, the shoes are not red, they are silver. I really hoped they would somehow turn red in this movie, given they were red in Wizard of Oz and silver in the first part. There has to be some way that these are going to be the same shoes, but no, we're just dealing with silver, I guess. After the house crushing scene, we have Glinda being bitter about the fact that Fiyero would rather be with Elphaba, and the two of them get into a fight. Like, they're literally trying to punch each other as best as they can, classic girls catty cat fight, and they are going the heck at each other. Meanwhile, the guards from Fiyero's troop, they storm down and they are capturing Elphaba. They have her by the arm, they have her pinned down, but Fiyero makes them release her, so instead, they capture him. They capture Fiyero, and guess frickin' what happens. You're not ready for this. Or maybe you are, if you've seen the play, you've read the book, but the exact same reaction I had to Bok as Tin Man, we're about to have that same reaction a second time, because one of the second most shocking things in the whole film has just happened. Prince Fiyero is the damn Scarecrow. It's not just some rando scarecrow that's in a field in Wizard of Oz. It's literally Fiyero. I had no idea any of this was going to happen. I did not know crap. What the helly? I've lost my mind once, managed to find it, and lost it again. We have a quote. I think it's Morrible, but I can't remember because I didn't actually write it down. And it is, "The land of Kansas." Something about them referring to Kansas in that way is just very amusing to me. There's a conversation between Glinda and Marble. I can't remember exactly what about because I didn't write all the details, but the point is Marble is not listening to Glinda, what she wants, how she wants. So Glinda takes matters into her own hands. She's gonna help herself if nobody will help her, and she steals Prince Fiora's horse in order to escape. The freaking blue horse that I mentioned previously. We also find out that in the original Wizard of Oz movie, it was very likely that the Wicked Witch never actually had it out for Dorothy because she is Dorothy, because she's from Kansas, whatever the reason. Her concern was a way to remember her sister. Those shoes that we mentioned Dorothy having on were not Glinda's shoes to be giving away in the first place. Glinda should not have given them to Dorothy, and all Elphaba wants to do is get them back. So we're now at the scene where Dorothy is throwing a bucket of water onto the Wicked Witch because she is told that that's what would kill Elphaba. But fast forwarding a little bit, it turns out that Elphaba didn't die. She just went underneath the floorboards and hid. She left her hat on top, so it looked like she melted away, but in reality, she survived 100% just fine. Here's our number 3 for most shocking thing in the movie. We find out that guess who Elphaba's dad is? The whole time it's been the freaking wizard. He was drinking from the little green vial, and then they flash us back to a scene from the first movie. A unknown man with that same green vial. And whatever's in that vial is probably why her skin came out green, TBH. But now I kind of get a little bit why her dad hated her. Because her dad wasn't her dad. It was in fact the freaking wizard this whole time. And speaking of, he gets banned from Oz by Glinda. Banished, go away, never return, ever again, goodbye, good riddance. Madame Marble gets taken to I don't know where by the winged monkeys. Goodbye, good riddance to you as well. And the goat got his job back. I'm guessing freeing him from the cage was enough to eventually return his voice, because he is now a goat professor once again. So going back to what I said recently about how Elphaba didn't actually die, she just hid in the floorboards, we find out that she was hiding when the floorboards are opened by none other than Fiero Scarecrow. He has come back to find her, come back to save her, come back to date her. The two of them go beyond Oz, beyond Munchkinland, beyond all of this, into nothingness, essentially, and they just spend the rest of their days hanging out together. Hanging out together. Elphaba calls him beautiful, but in my opinion, it's debatable. Like, bruh, he's a scarecrow. Have you seen him? Like, yeah, she's not one to judge because she's green and all, but I have written down here, Scarecrow X Green Lady. Like, when you really analyze their pairing, it's so funny. And I also have written down FT Dub, which means for the win. So I guess I eventually came around to shipping them from earlier in the movie. I obviously did not, as stated in my notes. But whatever the case, we have our endgame pairing of Elphaba and Scarecrow. But as much as you're excited for Elphaba and Fiero having their happily ever after and living together their whole lives dating, you do have to feel bad for Glinda, because not only does she think that Elphaba is dead, she also is led to believe that Fiero is dead. Neither of them can ever tell her the truth, and you just feel so bad for her that the two people she cared about most in this world are, in her eyes, gone. So we're now on my final note, and it just says, long story short, summarizing the whole movie, oh my god, shook, what the heck just happened, or what did I just watch? Basically, this movie shocked me unimaginably hard more than one time. The Tin Man, the Scarecrow, Nessa's the Wicked Witch of the East, Elphaba's dad is the wizard. Like, they did it time after time. Just when I thought I couldn't get more insane, more dramatic, they threw it at me again, and I'm like, what the heck? I just sat there, literally like this. When the credits came on, I had no words. It took me a minute to be able to turn on my friend and talk about it, because I was just like, what the hecky? disbelief to the nines that that's the true story of Wizard of Oz. Like, what the what? So my official rating for Wicked Part 2, because I was shook out of my mind so many times, I am going to be rating it higher than Part 1 got, and this movie is getting a solid 9 out of 10. I highly, highly recommend that you go see this. You have to have watched Part 1 first, but as I'm proving, you don't have to have read the book or watched the play. I do really want to do both. I do intend to do both, especially the book. But as long as you watch the movies in order, does not matter. Going into it with knowledge is helpful, but also going into it knowledge could be conceived as a spoiler. So take your pick. But long story short, 9 out of 10. Highly recommend this film. Phenomenal. Cannot say enough good things. That's going to wrap up my Wicked Part 2 movie review. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. So if you enjoyed it, please drop me a big like down below and subscribe if you're new so you don't miss any future content. Check me out on social media, always linked in the description. And aloha till next time.